Stay tuned for All Talk Monday's feature presentation coming up right now. This is Issues and Answers, your connection to the X generation, holding fast to the ideals of truth, conservatism, and goodness. Issues and Answers comes to you every Monday night at this time on WBNY Radio. And now, here's the man with a face for radio, your host, Darren Pogue.
Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Issues and Answers on 91.3 FM WBNY, an issue-driven program discussing topics that concern the city of Buffalo and the nation. My name is Darren, and as always, I am joined by John, James, and Todd.
Hey.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Schwenker, the engineer, on the other side of the glass. All right, on tonight's show, we'll be discussing Slick Willie gets off.
Slick Willie got off?
He got off.
Oh, gee, there's news.
Issue number 2, Clinton. Did you know that he is not a Joe Average six-pack?
Jeez.
We'll be getting into that a little bit later on. Issue number 3, the tobacco issue. Number 4, we've received a lot of complaints that here we are. We're named Issues and Answers, but we never provide any answers. Well, guess what? Tonight, we'll be providing some answers. Issue number 5, should the federal government adopt a federal capital punishment law? Issue number 7, federal abuse. Thanks for pointing at me. I can concentrate on what I'm saying on the air, and here you are pointing at the goddamn paper.
Suck up and deal. You're forgetting an important issue,
We're going to talk
the ban
about the
on
gun
assault
ban.
weapons.
We're going to talk about the gun ban, and yes, if we have time, we'll talk about the Issues and Answers internship.
If we have time.
If we have time. All right, let's go to issue number 1. Slick Willie got off.
With who?
A U.S. District Court judge has dismissed the sexual harassment case by Paula Jones.
Well, yeah, because, what did he do? He did not do anything that could be considered sexual harassment. Sure, he took off his pants. Sure, he propositioned her, but that's nothing more than goes on every day. Hell, I saw 3 people doing that in the cafeteria today. You walk all, it's all over the place, folks. It's not sexual harassment. Any Joe Average six-pack could see that.
All right. What's interesting is this judge was a law student under Clinton.
Now, I'm not sure if that was Bill or Hillary.
Well, Bill never taught law, so it was Hillary.
It was Hillary.
Okay, I wasn't sure if he did at one point and, forgot or some damn thing.
Yeah. You got to wonder if there's a conflict of interest. Here we are, the student and the teacher. In a interesting You're really helping me out over there, Tom. You're just staring at me. You're not helping me out.
You're doing fine.
I'm doing fine.
It should be noted, though, that she was a Bush appointee. It was under... What the hell are you laughing at, Darren?
Okay, I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that, so...
Take off your headphones and go stand in the corner until you cool off and feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, at any rate. She was a Bush appointee, so, theoretically, she should have some conservative views. She should have some idea, some microscopic grain of, what's right, what's wrong, and, what's just plain common sense. Oh, that's much better, thank you. What's right, what's wrong, and what's just plain common sense, including being able to figure out that, hey, you drop trowel and, salute a woman, that's sexual harassment.
Well, she did mention that he found his actions, quote-unquote, disgusting. Meanwhile...
Boorish, I believe, was the exact word. But
boorish?
Yeah, close enough.
Close enough.
You've obviously never been accused of being boorish. They're 2 totally different things. Not
disgusting, boorish, whatever, let's go with this.
Not that I know from personal experience.
Accuracy, folks.
But what do we learn from this case? Apparently we learn that sexual harassment is legal in Arkansas. Apparently it is.
I think we have change in America, like the Clintons promised, with just this. They have defined away sexual harassment. What a better world we're in. Sexual harassment has ceased to exist.
It just doesn't exist anymore. You can do basically whatever you want and, well, get away with it.
Well, no. That's not entirely true. Sexual harassment does still exist. It is still a problem, but it's not sexual harassment if you drop your drawers and, just like I said, proposition a woman. That's just ordinary behavior, everyday behavior.
Yeah, right. I think you're being sarcastic about this.
No, I'm
But in
serious.
Arkansas, the law is so weak that something like this can happen. And apparently that's what the judge was saying when she said that even if this did happen, the president was boorish and maybe even disgusting. But it wasn't illegal under Arkansas law. And I think I find it fascinating that it happens to be Bill Clinton's state that has this weak law.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd find it interesting to see who was governor, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when this law was probably passed. I mean, do you guys know?
What law was passed? Who said any laws were passed?
when this sexual harassment law, was finalized that made it so that this was not illegal.
How do you pass a law making something not illegal? It probably was never illegal.
Well, no, I mean, who was governor when the opportunity
He
for
wasn't
it-
governor when this happened, was he? He was, what was his office?
He was running for governor, I thought.
Could have been, but I don't think he was governor yet.
He was governor for a few years, and then he resigned, and then later ran again.
No, he didn't resign. He was kicked out.
Kicked out?
He didn't win re-election.
Well,
Had to apologize and grovel and
kicked
whine
out. I
and-
thought you.
No. No, he didn't win re-election, and he had to, and I find this very fascinating. He had to come back and do this. I'm so sorry. I did. Then he came, and then they they put him in another term, and this is his MO now. Look, when he was in all this trouble, he goes to Africa and apologized for slavery. That's a lot easier than saying, I'm sorry that I'm boorish and disgusting. So he just apologized for something else that wouldn't get him into trouble. But it was the same idea that what a nice man, and he apologizes for stuff. And
Probably likes puppies.
Yada, yada, yada.
And children.
Yeah, I can't forget that. Liking children is very important. That's what makes you an effective politician.
Now, do you buy it that this is the reason the case was thrown out of court? Was because there was no sufficient evidence that he indeed caused any harm to Miss Paula Jones?
This is the judge who didn't want to hear the case in the first place. The Supreme Court made her hear this case. That's why it's going to Supreme Court again, probably.
Now, do we learn any lesson from that? Why is the Supreme Court giving cases to judges who absolutely want nothing to do whatsoever with this particular case?
Well, that's the way the system works. I mean, you have to stay within your jurisdiction.
Well,
certain courts are for certain jurisdictions, and the Supreme Court settled this. The idea isn't here that this woman loves Clinton and she's going to fight against Paula Jones no matter what, and the Supreme Court has to do something about it. In a legal sense, there was a legal question. It was answered. It went back to the original jurisdiction. That's all.
Which is normal.
see,
That is normal for any circumstances. That's the law of the land.
I've mentioned this before. I believe it is enormously difficult to have either a judge or a jury in any way convict the President of the United States. In this case, indicting the President of the United States. To me, that is, you really have to have a lot of proof against the President of the United States in order to indict or convict.
Well, they wouldn't indict or convict. They just send it to the House.
Yeah, there's been no real time when the president has even, unless I'm incorrect, I'm trying to remember here, the last case that I know of where a sitting president was placed under arrest was in 1868.
You remember this?
Yeah, I do. No, I do. It was on a...
You don't remember it. You learned about it.
Well, yes. 1868, Ulysses S. Grant was arrested for a hit-and-run offense. He was riding along in his horse and buggy. No, I'm serious. Don't laugh. He hit a woman, and the police did not want to arrest him. The woman didn't want him arrested, and he said, hey, I broke the law. Arrest me. And that's the last time I can think of any president ever really being arrested.
Issues and answers, educating the public.
That was our history for today. Thank you.
Screw you, hippie.
Screw you, hippie. That's your new phrase, isn't it?
Yes,
You're
it
just going to
is.
start blurting that out randomly.
Or else I fell off the back of a truck and I broke my ass.
Okay. Now, the perjury charges. To me, at least from everything I know, this case being thrown out of court has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on the perjury charges against the President of the United States here.
Not in a legal sense it doesn't, because the perjury charge stands on its own. That would be just like if you were being arrested for suspicion of burglary. Now, you're innocent, but they think you're the suspect, and you punch the cop. who's trying to arrest you. That's assaulting an officer. Now, when they find out you're not the burglar they were looking for, the charge remains that you punched the cop. And that's kind of the same thing here. Regardless of whether or not this went to court or not, the suspicion is there that Clinton did perjure himself and did suborn perjury, and that is an offense on its own, and it's not hinging on the other court case.
Now, you believe this has absolutely no effect whatsoever on Ken Starr's investigation?
Not legally, but politically it's going to be a harder sell, because people kind of lost interest in the whole thing because the original case was thrown out, and people think maybe it's not fair that all of this happened at all since it was thrown out. But I don't know if that's going to wash, because this is a legal matter, and to this point, Ken Starr hasn't cared what people thought about it. This is legal.
Speaking of which, have you seen the latest polls, supposedly from the Washington Post, basically saying that the majority of the American public believe that Ken Starr's investigation is politically motivated?
Oh, I'm sure that's probably a true poll for who they polled, because Ken Starr is not protecting himself. Clinton is out here whipping up this frenzy of public support, whipping up this political frenzy. Ken Starr's just doing his job, and that's it. He doesn't say any much. He just does his job. And so it's easy for Clinton, as he always does, to get everything all stirred up while his opponents don't know that this is a contest. This is a legal matter. It's not supposed to be played out in the public forum like this.
So basically, if Ken Starr is going out there, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing his duty for the American people, completing his job to the best of his ability. I think that makes Ken Starr Joe Average six-pack. Just Joe, everyday American, guy in the street, doing what he's supposed to do. Well, some guy who's, basically screwing around is getting away with murder.
And people are supporting him because he knows how to play the media.
Yep.
Now, here we go. You're Ken Starr.
I am.
You're under all of this heat. From Congress, from the president, from the media.
From the studio.
From the studio.
Well, it wouldn't be hot in here if somebody wasn't out in the hall tinkering with the thermostat before we came in here.
It wasn't my fault, man. I put that thing at 50. It should be, cold in here.
You don't know. There was a dial and all the numbers are worn off, and you just start spinning it until it started hissing steam.
According to the Washington Post, the American people. So, if you're Ken Starr, does this have any bearing whatsoever on your investigation?
Does what?
Is stupidity a crime?
All of these factors. All the heat he's taking from the president, from Congress, from the American people.
Is stupidity and gullibility a crime?
Hello?
Just say yes or no. Say yes.
Yes.
Well, in that case, I'll charge the American people, too.
So
I think the American people are being took. It's like Abraham Lincoln said, or was Abraham Lincoln or P.T. Barnum? There's one... Well, Abe Lincoln then. I'll go with my original quote.
It's not.
Anybody, somebody.
Yes, it is. I'll go with my original quote.
It's not Abe Lincoln.
It was
you don't
one.
P.T. Barnum.
It
I
was
know.
once
No,
said.
you don't.
There's a sucker born every minute. It's P.T. Barnum.
No, you can fool all of the people some of the time, and some of the people all of the time, and that goes to Abe Lincoln.
Well, I think it was Harry Truman.
Did you know that Harry Truman's middle initial didn't stand for anything?
My mother's middle initial doesn't either.
She just added one there so it looks cool?
No, her mother did.
There you go, folks. You're educated again. No, I mean, you can fool some of the people all of the time, and all of the people some of the time. Clinton is going for those few people you can fool all of the time.
Clinton doesn't care who he fools. It's just if you lie enough, they can't indict you.
But will the recent developments in any way affect the investigation? Is basically what I'm aiming towards.
What?
I'm sorry.
Are you listening, guys?
I don't know. I think there's something floating in the air.
You can't say that, Darren. That's one of the things you can't say.
Will the investigation in any way, will the recent developments in any way affect the investigation?
Oh, yeah. It could.
I think it will. I think it'll wrap up sooner than it would have.
Ken Starr is saying that he might now, unless something's come up very, very recently that I haven't heard yet, that he might now indict Monica Lewinsky for perjury and name Bill Clinton as an unindicted co-conspirator, which would put the whole thing into court, and all of this slimy, sleazy stuff would come out into public where everybody could see it. Now, I'm sure the Clintons don't want that, and probably Ken Starr doesn't want that either, because that's not his strongest case he could make, but I'm sure that ended the festivities for the White House that they were planning to celebrate the end of this court case.
Festivities? What festivities would those be?
Well, you know that the Clintons did celebrate after the Paula Jones decision. After the Paula Jones sexual harassment suit was thrown out.
I was just going to ask you.
How'd they celebrate?
How did the Clintons celebrate when they received
how did they celebrate?
Terrific news.
They celebrated in private, but some things have leaked out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you have obtained a copy of
I
the
have
list.
a list here
I hate
of some of the things that may have happened when the Clintons, on their excursion to Africa, found out that, yes, indeed,
This is
Paula
an
Jones
Issues
court
and
case.
Answers exclusive.
it is.
So listen tight, folks. You might not want to even snap in a tape. You're going to want to record this. Todd, give the nice people
There
10
are
seconds
5
to get a
things
tape.
that have leaked.
5.
5.
All right.
5?
Ed McMahon and Johnny Carson used to do this, didn't they?
Hey-ho!
Act surprised.
Read 'em
5.
off. Read them off.
First, they invited Joe Average Six-Pack over and stole his beer.
Oh.
And then, if that wasn't enough, Bill flashed Janet Reno and yelled, "This one's for you, baby."
Oh, yes, sir.
And then after that, they rang Ken Starr's doorbell and ran away.
Oh, gee, that just ain't right.
That's just like them.
That's just mean.
And then
Somebody who hates puppies would do that.
they decorated Al Gore and exchanged gifts. And then in the heat of the excitement, James Carville combed his hair.
Oh, really?
What there was of it.
I refuse to believe that.
And that's how they celebrated, not to mention, I think, smoking cigars and other tobacco products.
Now-
Probably drinking
Well, he didn't inhale.
things.
Okay.
He
Do
didn't
we
inhale.
have some sort of tape?
He
It is-
didn't put it in his pork and beans and eat it either.
It is hotter than a cheerleader's hindquarters in here. Is it any way we can take a break? Just
Somebody
for a
shouldn't have been
PSA?
messing with the thermostat.
Like
outside.
that made a lot of
You know what? We will take a break because we're going to go outside and get some fresh air. You're listening to Issues and Answers on 91.3 FM WBNY.
Your home is your biggest investment, and you take pride in how it looks. Unfortunately, some contractors take advantage of homeowners and don't do the work they promise, or do no work at all. I'm New York State Attorney General Dennis Vacco. In order to protect yourself and your home, there are some things you should remember. Always get several estimates and demand they are in writing. For free information on how to protect yourself from home improvement scams, call or write the Attorney General's office. Know your rights and protect yourself from becoming a victim.
In a lifetime, that special person comes your way, and you've got to smell your best. Clinton Cologne. No matter what kind of crap you get into, you'll come out smelling like a rose.
Hi, I'm Bob. I used to be a bay magnet until I got a job pumping out septic tanks. Let's just say that the chicks ain't attracted to old Bob like they used to be. That is until I got me Clinton Cologne.
Yes, folks, just a dab of Clinton Cologne makes you irresistible to homely women.
It's me, Bob again. I use Clinton Cologne and it changed my life. No longer do I smell like an open septic tank.
Just one bottle of Clinton Cologne can stink up an entire administration. Just think of what it can do for you. Buy one bottle of Clinton Cologne and receive for absolutely no extra charge the Clinton Car Air Freshener. The air freshener designed specifically for the presidential limo. It can cover up the worst marijuana smell you can generate.
Hey, you! Damn! That thing stinks!
So don't forget, whether it's trouble with Congress or you just stepped in a cow muffin, it smells the same. Use Clinton Cologne and come out smelling like a rose.
Is it me, or did Bob sound like Joe Average Six-Pack?
Man, the more times I hear that cow, the more I like it.
Drinking redneck beer, I think.
You're listening to Issues and Answers on WBNY. We've made several references to the Joe Average Six-Pack quote.
I had cow auditions for that.
Okay. And there are probably people wondering, what the hell are they talking about? Joe Average Six-Pack.
I know, I'm wondering. Oh, wait, I know what's going on. Never mind.
Okay. Once the case was thrown out of court, Bill Clinton said, if I were Joe Average Six-Pack, he would look forward to the opportunity to contest the charges. That's a paraphrase.
To try and prove himself innocent in court.
He was Joe Average Six-Pack. Here we
I don't
have
know.
the President of the United States saying Joe Average Six-Pack.
He has this picture in his mind of America being a bunch of riffraff beer drinkers, I think, and he's just trying to be one of us.
Well, let's see where he grew up and where he was governor down in Arkansas. That's basically what it is down there.
Okay.
Don't hold your head like that. It's true. The South is an entirely different place.
I'm going to be over here in the corner if you want me.
But this gets to the whole issue of a president sounding presidential, and he doesn't do it.
Never has.
Exactly, never has. When have we ever heard another president say Joe Average Six-Pack? I don't think another president has even made any comments about six packs.
I wonder
before.
if he inhaled before he made that statement.
But I mean, by the same token, I mean, political figures throughout history have said things that were basically stupid. FDR's first vice president said, and this is a direct quote, you can look this up in a history book. The office of the vice president is worth as much as a bucket of warm piss. Now, you can't convince me that Joe Average six-pack is any less dignified than that.
You quote that a lot in private, I think, but I just never knew where it came from.
FDR's first vice president. But, I mean, it is kind of, it makes sense. I mean, Joe Average six-pack, you might have said John Q. Public. Somebody else might have said Everyday American.
Joe Blow.
Yeah, whatever, Darren. If
He's
you
doing
want,
that appropriate for Bill Clinton.
He's trying to avoid that terminology.
if you want to talk about Joe blowing, that's your business. At any rate,
Okay.
I'm not to contest your personal life, Darren. At any rate, Joe Average six-pack, I
Save
think,
yourself.
is just a metaphor to say, the everyday American. But
Why can't he just say everyday American?
I don't think it
He's
matters.
pretending to be colorful.
I don't think it matters what he says, Darren.
Well,
What-
remember, this is the president. I don't mean to... Go ahead.
Let me finish. What matters here is that he was, basically incorrect. Let me ask you a question, Todd. You're accused of sexual harassment. Some woman says, he pulled down his pants, waved himself around, and propositioned me. Would you want to go to court? And say,
Especially when she has identified certain characteristics.
and I mean, that would basically, I've said it before about Sharif and the skirt. That would suck.
Oh, yeah.
Who
Who would
would
want to
be-
go to court for that?
It would be a more long, drawn-out court battle than if it was just kicked out of court.
This is kind of like when somebody backs down from a fight and says, I could have taken him. He just had to throw it out of court. Oh, I was ready to go.
So
I was
either-
ready to fight this. Yeah, right.
Either
whatever.
the president isn't all that bright, or he doesn't have a real high opinion of the American people.
I think you got a combination of those.
Now listen to what else he said. He said after the case was dismissed, he said the dismissal of the case was quote unquote in the best interest of America.
Okay.
Does that go under BS quote of the week?
BS quote. Yeah, I think so.
That's typical Slick Willie for you.
Buffalo State,
In the best.
bovine scatology quote of the week.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that he got caught propositioning a woman with his pants down, and when he gets thrown out of court, that's good for America.
That's good for America.
Maybe it would have been good for America if he hadn't done that stuff.
Well, what do you're looking for something that can't possibly happen. I mean,
With this guy, no.
Todd, now come on. That's like saying the Hindenburg, if that never crashed, that would have been good for New Jersey. If Nagasaki and Hiroshima had never been bombed, that would have been good for Japan.
it would have been.
No, it wouldn't. What are you talking about? Everyone knows that a horrible disaster is good for a nation.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the president getting this case kicked out of court. That was good for America, by God, and you guys should know that by now.
I know I feel better off.
I do.
Oh, yeah. I woke up this morning. I just felt so much better about the world.
I felt like running through like fields of flowers.
Don't
and
even try to.
skipping and
Darren, anybody that knows you says, okay, Darren would feel that way under one condition. That's if he's being chased by a mob. I can't see you running through fields of flowers in any other circumstances.
Just running through crowded streets of cars and smog. That's more like it.
let's move on to issue number 3. Now that America can now focus once again off of this horrific framing job by the evil conservative right, Bill Clinton
Did
is
you
once
practice
again
this?
focusing on the tobacco issue.
Yeah.
He is absolutely dead set against to outlawing cigarettes and chasing off the tobacco industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Oh man, I
Continue,
swear,
Darren.
playing
I
games
swear
here.
to God, once I'm out of here, I'm going to kick your ass.
What is your opinion on this, Darren?
To me, it's absurd. To me, this is all politically motivated. There's no other reason because, to me, is alcohol any better for you than tobacco?
It's less worse.
It's less worse. Here we are in this country, for the most part, you have to be 21 to buy beer. But you have to be 18 to buy cigarettes.
Well, Darren, that's like saying, which is better for you? Getting kicked in the crotch or getting kicked in the head? Neither one's good, just one is less worse than the other. I mean, tobacco's bad for you. Alcohol's bad for you. Which one is less bad for you? And it's
Alcohol is bad for you when you abuse it, but it's never good to smoke on a burning plant.
That's a very good point.
Now,
Thank you.
it's not even, this isn't even an issue of it being bad for you. First of all, he's bringing this up to draw attention away from the real issue of the day, which is, where is Slick Willie's Willie been lately? Now, that's the only reason why he's attacking the industry. My personal feelings on tobacco is, it's got a warning label on the box. If you're stupid enough to smoke it anyways, it's your own damn problem. We shouldn't be regulating the tobacco industry. The only thing we should stop is them pandering to children, which they do occasionally. Some of the ads, such as Joe Camel, cartoon ads, yeah, they are trying to get children to smoke cigarettes. And yes, teen smoking is on the rise. It has been for the past 10 years. But if you're stupid enough to smoke a cigarette, it's got a warning label on the box, it's your own damn problem. If these people are dead set against, dead set on smoking, let them do it, let them get lung cancer, and let them die.
Now, I have to disagree with you there, James. No, quit your laugh.
I would expect nothing less from him. Just let him die.
Quit your laughing, Pogue. All right. Now, as I understand it, your roommate likes to smoke occasionally, the occasional cigar.
Yes.
Yes. You don't smoke, do you?
No, I will smoke absolutely nothing whatsoever.
Incorrect. You're inhaling his smoke.
I just walked into that one.
No, it's still bad for you. So regulating cigarettes does help people, and not everybody who is affected by smoking chooses to smoke themselves. My mother smoked. I never smoked. I'm a little kid. People around me smoke. My friends smoke.
But you don't have a choice.
Exactly. Regulating the tobacco industry gives you not a choice, but some form of a protection.
Now, this isn't an issue on secondhand smoke, because that's what you're delving into now. That isn't anywhere a part of this.
Yeah, it is. They're both connected.
They are not connected. Okay? That's an entirely different issue where you can and cannot smoke. Okay? A couple nights ago, we had a party, and there was a couple of people smoking in the house. It wasn't all that big a deal. We had a window open. Darren hasn't died yet. Okay,
Not yet.
Me myself, I have not smoked in the house. I will have an occasional cigar, maybe one or two a week, and usually I'm at a bar while doing so.
But there are people. It's impossible to say that secondhand smoke and firsthand smoke aren't connected. And by limiting tobacco products' availability on the market, you limit the exposure people have to secondhand smoke. They are two connected issues. That's like saying
It's not a connected issue.
a drunk driver and getting hit by a car aren't connected because they have nothing to do with each other, even if the drunk driver is the one that hits you, right?
If you're that afraid of it, don't get on the road and don't drive. But if you don't want to inhale smoke, don't go to a bar. Don't sit in a smoking section of a restaurant. That's just plain stupid. If you want to stay away from smoke, you can do so.
Not in Erie County you can, because they have the cordoned off smoking sections. Most other places in New York State, you can't.
That's why there's smoking sections and non-smoking sections.
And that was a product of cigarette regulation, which you said you don't support.
And also, remember this, smoke is a gas, it travels. It's not like, there's the smoke, there's the non-smoking section, I better stop right here. And, wave at people, so if they want to inhale me, they can come on over. They're connected, and tobacco regulation would limit this. But you're right, I don't think that this is the end product that Clinton is looking for. I think he's looking to draw attention away from himself.
Well, anyhow, the government is proposing a settlement with the tobacco industry. Among the terms of the settlement is a limited liability clause, which basically means you can only sue the tobacco company so much.
In a year's time.
And now, we were talking about this earlier. Can you legally even do that?
I don't know how that would play in the Supreme Court, and I'm not sure how it's all worded, but it seems kind of suspicious to me. What happens when a whole bunch of people sue the tobacco industry, and suppose they win, although that's rare, and the very last person on the list goes over the limit? Well, that's too bad. You can't sue this year.
Bad.
Is that what this is about? I would like an explanation on that, but I'm not. We'll see as it plays along.
Was it a total cap, or is it an overall or an individual cap per person?
I believe it's per state. That's what I believe it is, because each state has its individual healthcare system, and that's my understanding. I am not 100%.
It's a good question.
Well, no, basically that would be a per year deal then, because if it was like per person, that means you could sue for $1 billion, I could sue for $1 million, Todd
Everyone
could sue
could.
for $1 million. even if the $1 million was the individual spending cap, if it's a yearly spending cap, the first person to sue for $1 million and win, that's it. No more paid out per that year.
There is also a provision in the agreement here that the tobacco company must limit teen smoking by a certain amount each year. Now, to me, how do you exactly do that?
Well, if that isn't a politician's dream.
Make cigarettes taste like broccoli?
Well, it's a wonderful world, isn't it? Well, I'm just going to magically have teen smoking decrease.
But they're suggesting that it's the responsibility of a manufacturer of a product to stop people from abusing it, to stop people from buying it who's not supposed to. They're the manufacturer. Now, how are they supposed to regulate the illegal behavior of children?
They're not. It's up to the stores that sell it, and it's up to the parents.
But it is the tobacco industry, it's the manufacturers that are going to get nailed with this.
Exactly, and I don't believe that's right.
But, of course, that goes to the question of, which I think we're going to talk about later, so we'll talk about it now. The airline stewardesses who flew on these airlines for so many years, and then some of them have gotten lung cancer, and they're suing the tobacco industry because they were exposed to smoke. Now, they didn't sue the airline, apparently.
They should have been suing their employer.
They didn't sue the people who smoked on the plane individually for their irresponsible behavior. They didn't sue the government because they didn't sue OSHA for not protecting them. They didn't sue the FDA for not protecting them. They didn't sue anybody but the one company that just produced the stuff. They're not responsible for where it was smoked.
Coincidentally, they're also probably the ones with the deepest pockets.
Yeah, that's a coincidence. And not to mention that, Clinton, when he got himself in trouble because he's encouraged all this drug use to go up, the way he knocked attention away from himself was to attack Joe the Camel, and that created this national craze about suing tobacco industry lately.
Well, it does make sense, though, for the airline stewardesses to sue the tobacco companies. I mean, if you're going to sue somebody, will you sue the guy with maybe $100,000 to his name if he's got a lot of money and happened to fly in an airplane when you were a steward? Or would you sue the person with over $1 billion in revenue and go for as much as you could get?
Well, we all know what happened. I mean, it's just become a feeding frenzy. It's not a matter of right or wrong anymore. It's a matter of Bill Clinton just kicked the door open, and we're all going to run into the store and pilfer what we can out of it. And that's about it, I think, when it comes to the tobacco industry. And whenever, when Clinton is hiding something or when Clinton is trying to get control of his administration, because he brings up the tobacco issue, which is just a cheap applause line, basically.
Now, supposedly why this is such a serious issue for the president and the country in general is they believe that the tobacco industry is targeting children. Now, I go back to the alcohol issue here. If you go to a sporting event, if you watch a sports event on television, really watch how much of the advertising is done by beer companies. Why is it okay here to attack the tobacco industry, but meanwhile, you're Budweiser, you're okay, you're Heineken, you're okay? To me, it's hypocritical. And I'm just wondering, is alcohol next on the hit list here?
I don't think so. It was tried once. It was called the Prohibition, and it didn't work.
Besides that, so many people drink. I mean, just a huge part of being an American is drinking, but smoking is still a minority thing. And I'm talking about racially. I'm talking about a minority of people smoke, where drinking is just outrageous, the amount of people. And again, you can drink in moderation and not hurt anybody, but smoking, no matter how you do it, you're sucking fumes into your lung and burning your little lung parts out.
LVOA.
I wasn't even going to try.
No, it's LVOA. Another educational moment, folks.
Let's talk about the people who will be put out of work, specifically the tobacco farmers. Now, I would like to know, what is the government going to do once they regulate this industry to the point where cigarettes are so expensive and no one buys them anymore that they basically put these farmers out of work? You're talking about these families have done tobacco farming for centuries. That's all these people know. That's all their farms are really good for, is for tobacco growing.
Well, apparently you've just conceded the fact that the United States government is going to run tobacco out of the country.
I believe they will eventually.
They're trying to.
They're trying to, and if they do succeed, it becomes a Democrat's dream. We get to throw money at the tobacco farmers now. The poor tobacco farmers, we get to throw money at them for more schooling and to help them out. Again, it's a Democrat's way. Just throw money at it, and the problem will go away.
One thing is, though, tobacco is not all the land is good for. I mean, it changes the chemical makeup of the soil, but you can plant other things there that you can sell
How
just
much
as
corn
easily.
can you grow? You know what I'm saying?
And is it profitable, really,
Yeah.
to grow some more corn in this country? But, if they do this slowly over time, you're not going to see just a complete collapse of the tobacco industry all in one day. As the generations come along and as farmers from year to year plan their business and their crop, they'll begin to get out of it and go into other areas. But the real question is, if that's the way we're going to do it, why are we subsidizing it in the meantime to falsely maintain this way of life in this industry? We are asking for a collapse in some future date, because all of a sudden tobacco is going to be run about out of business, and somebody's going to say, why are we supporting this? We start to cut funding and there's going to be a collapse.
Okay, we're going to take a short break for some public service announcements. You're listening to Issues and Answers on 91.3 FM WBNY.
Having a telephone helps you keep in touch with friends and family. It can also make you a victim. I'm New York State Attorney General Dennis Facco. It's often hard to know if a sales call is legitimate, but if a telephone sales offer sounds too good to be true, it probably is. A new law gives consumers 3 days to change their minds about purchases made over the telephone. Don't feel pressured into making decisions on the spot, and never give out personal information over the telephone to someone you don't know. For more information about telemarketing scams, contact my office at 1-800-771-7755.
So, you think animal testing makes sense? Ha! Remember when we couldn't have saccharin because it caused cancer in rats? Well, saccharin causes cancer in rats because rats have a protein that humans don't have. What a surprise. You still think animal testing makes sense? Then call the National Anti-Vivisection Society at 1-800-888-6287. 1-800-888-6287 and find out what happened to the blind cats.
And at the same time, folks, you can find out what happened to all the nice people who had diabetes but were saved when insulin was developed using pigs. Darren, I believe you had an issue.
Yes, I do, John. Issue number 4. There has been a lot of criticism of this program here because the name of the program is Issues and Answers, and we never provide answers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, tonight I will be providing some answers. Hit it. Hit it.
Hit what?
Our Jeopardy! Jeopardy! There we go.
Thank you.
All right,
All right.
John.
This is smooth
What
as
is
hell.
the capital of Missouri?
Jefferson City.
Correct. Todd, how old are you?
26.
Correct.
Thank you.
John, who is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court?
John Jay.
It happens to be William H. Rehnquist.
Correct.
John Jay was the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, though, in 1798. And Darren, I have a question for you. Given a 72 metric ton vehicle moving at 0.863251 times the speed of light, and the presence of a 2.68 times 10 to the 70th ton pulsar, present at a distance of 10.6 parsecs, with a planet circling it which has an albedo of 2, the planet also has a gravity of 1.6 times that of the Earth.
Sugar.
Using all of the figures and taking into consideration a piece of carbon-14, which is 2.77 moles in mass, falling from a height of 1.7 decameters, respond to the following.
Could you repeat that
Boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
Well, that was a long way to go for a
There you
joke.
go. That was just hilarious. I'm laughing uncontrollably right now.
I managed to get it to end right with the Jeopardy music, and I'm damn proud
You
of
did a
that.
good job. That's beautiful. I loved it.
Okay,
That's
let's move on to
marvelous.
issue number 5,
Screw
and
you,
that's
hippie.
gun control. Clinton has once again found a issue to hop on the bandwagon.
Let's just hop on the bandwagon, and so nobody will, find out where Slick Willie's Willie has
Now
been
let's
lately.
let's just clarify this. He hates cigarettes and guns.
He hates cigarettes and guns.
He's just taking off everybody. Tobacco farmers, the NRA.
He doesn't like tobacco. Doesn't like
But he loves children.
guns.
He loves children.
What in the name of God kind of Southerner is this man?
Exactly. It doesn't sound like he came from Arkansas.
He is not very loyal to his southern
I saw him
people.
shooting ducks once.
Now, this whole thing is he wants to get a ban on 58 what he calls assault weapons that are being sold for sport in the United States. Now, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the ATF, has come up with this list saying that these guns are assault rifles. They're made for war. To quote him out of the press, and they should not be sold in the United States. Now, frankly, They're not automatics. They're semi-automatics. They're legal. Leave it alone.
You know, the U.S. Constitution, when it talks about protecting firearms and the right to bear arms, those things were written in the shadow of the Revolutionary War, where the average person had to pick up arms against their own government, because guess what? England was our government. And we went against our own government. And they wanted to secure the fact that the American people could do that again against our own government if we needed to.
You're basically accepting militias right now.
The militias. Now, a lot of people say, well, it would be government-sponsored. No, you're missing the point. Against your own government, like our forefathers did. We're not talking about these people out west, you know, that are like held up in their chicken coops. We're talking about the real thing, folks. And I'll tell you what, if we ever have to go against our own government, we're going to look silly trying to do it with these little cap guns that you shoot deer with. Come on now.
We got nukes.
This is not a joke. This is very, very serious, that the people do have to have a certain amount of power, so that if the government does get out of control, and I'm not saying it's happening now or tomorrow and we're going to go blasting town hall. We're talking about in the future if there is some very, very serious governmental problems. We're talking about, let's imagine for one moment here, folks.
Slick Willie out of control.
No, I'm not talking about that. Let's really look at the reality of this. We get into, this is kind of half a joke. We hit the year 2000, all the computers take a dump. You know, and there's chaos in the streets.
Anarchy.
There's chaos in the streets, you know? But more seriously, if there was some sort of financial crisis, and we did indeed see the collapse of the federal government, emergency powers were declared, and the organization of our government really fell apart, and the people needed to really stand up and take the government back. What are we going to do it with? Pop guns? The founders did not think that this was a joke when they wrote this. They lived this. And now here we live in this society that's so comfortable, except from this room, because somebody messed with the thermostat.
That's not the damn reason. This room is always this hot.
We don't realize what it really means to be a revolutionary. We don't know what it means to have to fight for your survival in a country. You know, we got to really think about that sometime.
But by the same token, I mean, think about it. I mean, I could give you an AK-47, an Uzi, and a missile launcher and say, okay, go defend our country. And odds are good you'd shoot yourself in the leg, die of gangrene, and soldiers to come in and take over your town. Most people in America today are not trained the same way the militiamen were then. For the time...
Whoa. Are you saying we should be training these people to use these weapons now?
No, it's not so much training. It's...
Wait, why are you laughing at that? When I lived in Massachusetts, my father and my brothers belonged to gun clubs. And as a matter of fact, they used to march on 4th of July with the muskets and the whole get-up, because this was Massachusetts, you know, we're proud of our heritage. And that wasn't a joke there. I'm sorry you think it's funny in New York, but we did do it.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's so much a joke, but I'm saying, okay, your father, your brothers knew how to shoot a gun, knew how to hunt. Most people in America, and there's over 250 million people, I'm safe in saying most people in America would not know a gun from a hole in the ground. Or they would not know how to operate a gun effectively. When this amendment was put into place, people still hunted regularly just for basic sustenance, not even for sport. And it was more, they knew what they were doing. Today, I mean, we can have all the amendments. We can have an amendment allowing people to own nuclear weapons, and it wouldn't do a lick of good because we're not trained in how to properly use them.
John, I agree on gun control, but I'm not sure the population should be trained on how to use them.
Darren,
why?
Okay, Darren.
Why do we want to train?
We want. Well, okay.
Have you been out there lately?
Out where?
Just out on the street.
New York City.
Of course. Do you want half these people knowing how to use a gun?
You think that people who are using guns in crime don't, in some way, learn how to use them? It's the people who don't think they have need for them that don't learn how to use them.
And I'm not even saying so much train them in how to use a gun. It's not even training in how to care for a gun. You might be able to figure out how to fire an AR-15. Basically, turn off the safety.
I don't even know what an AR-15 is.
AR-15 Beastmaster, modified version of the M16 assault rifle used by the Navy SEALs.
All right, yours today. Squisajig, 1-800.
Provide some sanity here. Please tell me you're not agreeing with them.
All right.
Agreeing with them who? What?
All right. First of all, let's get back to the actual issue of gun control and not whether we should have militias ruling the streets. The issue is gun control, whether this is legal or not, to ban these weapons that they call assault weapons.
Is James angry at us?
I am pissed at you guys.
I think they are. I mean, it's an AK-47 and a Uzi. Were two of the...
No, they're not.
They were two of the representative weapons that I saw. And I remember I saw this on ABC News Ticker just before I came in.
First of all, those weapons are already illegal to the American public because they are what they call automatic.
Even modified to just be semi-auto, they are being made illegal. And an AK-47,
which I don't believe is right.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
Okay. So let me get something straight. Who do you want to do the training here? You want to train the American public on how to use automatic weapons. It's basically.
I'm not saying that we should have big programs in the junior high schools where we teach people to shoot
That's
things.
That's what it sounds like.
No. What I'm saying is that we shouldn't be afraid to allow people to learn how to use guns.
I agree.
And own them, because after all, if you decide you're going to own a gun because you live in a bad section of town and you're not trained how to use it, the last thing you want to do is in the middle of the night, half asleep, somebody's breaking into your house to steal your stuff or to kill you. You don't know. The last thing you want to do is blast a hole in your body because you didn't have the training in this.
But you know what? I don't know why we're talking about this, because this is not a governmental issue. This is a personal issue. If you want to buy a gun and you want to do the smart thing to be trained how to use it, it's your own damn problem. The government doesn't have to provide a service to you. Oh, well, the cops on the streets just aren't doing the job. So go out and buy yourself a gun, and oh, by the way, we'll train you how to use it. Okay, this discussion
I'm not sure
is
what you're angry about.
This discussion is just getting a little stupid for me.
Well, I don't think
have
either
Todd
of us
talking
think-
about revolution.
Darren, what in the name of God are you laughing at?
To me, it's absurd.
Have we been declared stupid?
This is totally absurd. You're basically proposing that we train people to use automatic
No,
weapons.
I propose that if you're going to have people owning weapons, train them in how to care for a weapon. Do you know how to strip and clean a gun? Any kind of gun?
I don't
Simple
wanna know.
revolver? Do you want to own a gun?
I do.
You do. You know how to care for a weapon.
See, but because you don't want to know,
And you know what?
probably will never
and
own
you know
one.
what? I
What?
taught myself. I taught myself how to do this, and I was taught by the Boy Scouts how to do this. Okay? My senator didn't have to come to my damn house and teach me how to strip and clean a gun.
Here we are conservatives. Oh, man, he is so pissed.
I don't understand what's happening here.
There's a lot of drinking going on after this show.
I think there must have been drinking going on before this show. This doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Let's move on because you guys are scaring me.
I'm just discussing the Constitution.
Darren, you're scaring us. We're talking about weapons that, legal or not, could kill somebody from 1,000 yards, and you're cackling like a little
But you want to
freaking
train
mother
people.
goose.
You want to train people.
Okay.
Who said we're going to train anybody? This was what you said, Darren.
All right, let's wrap up this issue on this. Darren said he wanted to wrap up, so let's wrap up on this. Okay, they want to declare these guns illegal. What happens when you declare guns illegal?
They're illegal.
When owning a gun is criminal, only criminals will own guns. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I agree. Let's move on to issue number 5, and that's the possibility of a federal capital punishment law. First, before we go into that, I want to know, is everyone here for capital punishment? I would assume everyone here is.
Depending on the crime, yes.
Fry 'em.
How about you, Hillman?
Certainly.
Okay. Would you be for the constitutional amendment basically requiring all states in the case of a murder to pursue capital punishment?
Murder 1, 2, or 3?
To me, it's at this point the stages of this are so vague.
If it were strictly murder 1, which is basically premeditated murder of a police officer, yes. Murder 2, which you could get if you run somebody over in your car accidentally swerving to avoid a dog, no.
Wasn't this a states' right issue?
That's what I want to get into eventually.
If you intentionally harm somebody, if you intentionally kill somebody, which would be murder 1, I don't care if you were shooting, and we got into this last week, I don't care if you're shooting at their leg and they freaking bleed to death and they die, it's murder. If you intentionally harm somebody and they die, I don't, to sort of go off on a tangent here, we have a person here by the name of Chuck who writes a column, and I believe it's true. Don't even fry him, hang him, and let him dry for a couple of days.
Well, no, that's why I asked if it's murder 1, 2, or 3. 'Cause murder 2 or 3, if you had a capital punishment for that, no. Any murder 1 offense, yes.
Yeah, that's probably why he's
Open
so
up the
upset.
door,
It's
man.
hot in here, man. It is hot.
And it's not because of the thermostat, man. That thing's set at 50. And I think it's broken.
You think?
What were you talking about anyway?
I was asking whether or not what murder the federal amendment would refer to. It was answered, basically, murder one. In that case, yes, I'm for it.
Just for a police officer.
No. Darren, do you know what murder one is? Have you read a law book in the last 50
I'm
years?
not a lawyer. Clarify
Jesus,
for me. What's
mother
lawyer?
loving son of a... Okay, murder
Clarify
one...
for our audience.
Murder one is premeditated murder, murder committed under contract, murder committed in the commission of a criminal act,
Okay.
murder of a law enforcement officer, and in some judicial areas, murder of a fireman or a paramedic in the commission of their duties. Meaning, if fireman's going into a burning building and you shoot him dead, that's murder one.
How about a drive-by shooting? Being done
Those are generally tried as murder one because it's either murder one or on occasion murder two, wanton disregard for human life.
Okay, how does this affect state rights? Would you be willing to compromise state rights to pass a federal law?
Well, first of all, the Supreme Court, I'm not sure if they have hammered this out or not in the Supreme Court. I haven't studied this in a legal context. But if this is a states' right issue, I would never, and you know this of me, I would never support bumping this power up to the federal. Let the states take care of it. And besides, if you make this federal, and a crime is committed, is considered a federal crime, as murder or whatever, and this person has to go to death, which state's it going to happen in? And what if that state doesn't appreciate people being put to death in their state?
Put them to death in the state where the crime was committed, and if necessary, carry them on a truck throughout the other 49 states.
That would be one hell of a drive if you went through 49 states on a truck.
Okay.
I think we have some applicants for the internship outside.
Oh, we do? Speaking of the internship, we are still accepting applications for the Issues and Answers internship. If you would like to be the official intern for Issues and Answers, please write us a letter at Issues and Answers, care of WBNY, 1300 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222. I bet you those applications are going to flow in now.
Oh, they're going to be shoving them in a little
yeah.
box out there in the mailroom.
Man, they're going to be flowing like Kool-Aid on the 4th of July.
Well, the Lord is truly looking down upon us because this show is over. This is not
beautiful.
God's looking down on us? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, so we're out of time. For John, James, and Todd, my name is Darren saying goodbye until next Monday night at 10 on 91.3 FM WBNY.
Do you have land that now is a safe place for wildlife? Would you like this land to always be safe, never to be developed or otherwise exploited? The Wildlife Land Trust, an affiliate of the Humane Society of the United States, helps landowners throughout the country permanently protect sanctuary land. For information on ways the Wildlife Land Trust can help you, call 1-800-729-SAVE. 1-800-729-SAVE.
Hi, this is Cher with something that could make a big difference to your health, even save your life. It's an emblem
Wildlife
recognized
Land
around
Trust.
the world that alerts emergency responders to your medical needs. It's a response center just a phone call away when doctors and nurses anywhere need your medical file to help you. It's Medic Alert. If you have diabetes...